New cards, PogChamp. New cards, PogChamp. All right, so first up we have Ukanomitsune-no-Tamayura. Hey, you thought I was going to fuck that one up, huh? Yeah, maybe have a little more faith in the white boy. I can order in perfect Japanese. Anyway, this is another AFD, apparently. You can only use the first and second card effects of this card's name once per turn. Now, remember, we saw this one as a V-Jump promo a little bit before, but we didn't know the effect. If you control a level 4 or lower Light Beast Planar Fairy monster, it is AFD support. It's another piece of support for the Ancient Fairy Dragon Retrain deck. You can special summon this card from your hand. A monster synchro summon using this card. Says some stupid, terrible defense stat thing, and your opponent can't target this defense position card with card effects. Okay. Okay. Well... That, I mean, you know, that's cool. That's neat. I hope the AFD and all of their friends' deck becomes playable. I don't think this is going to be the card that changes if it does or does not, but I won't deny that giving the guy who does all of your plays protection from like Valor and Imperm is super important. And for that reason, I appreciate it. Also, the free special summon condition is nice because you don't have to use the AFD special summon on it. It's just a random Cybers extender, but in a different deck. It's funny. Most V-Jump promos are way worse than this. Yeah, I do appreciate that this looks like one that might conceivably see play. Note, combines elements of a kami related to food, conflated with inari, the fox kami of rice, kitsune, the Japanese word for fox and a type of yokai, and an archaic word used to refer to a fleeting moment or the sound of two magatama touching each other. I was going to say that. That's crazy because I was going to say that, actually. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was thinking the exact same thing. Next up. Dogurado, the moving stone relic. Wait, isn't this that guy that reflects physical attacks? It's just a meme. Materials, 2+ monsters, including a rock. You can only use the first and second effects of this card's name once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you can target one rock monster in your graveyard. This card gains attack equal to that monster's. During your opponent's main phase, you can target one other monster on the field with attack equal to or less than this card. This card loses attack equal to that monster's, and if it does, destroy that monster. So, first and foremost, I do want to say, thank God this says rock and not earth, because otherwise, you know, peeps would be like, this changes everything for Earth Machine. He may do it anyway. I'm going to be honest, this card is quite good. The little effect here where it soaks its attack in order to pop an opponent's card seems good. It seems very strong. It's just like a pop on a random link 3. Rock decks and earth decks, of course, do have just random errant material that they need to put into something. The downside of this card, of course, is that those decks are not very good. Those decks are just not super strong. But in a world where we have another high-performing rock deck, think Adamantipator, I could see this being part of an end board that is a little interesting and difficult to interact with. At present, kind of a link without a home. But, when the Gorgonic Legacy support comes, I expect everyone to be buying this. Next buyout target, etc., etc. Next up. Fly off the handle with ferociously angered Sabersaurus. This is a Sabersaurus who is crashing out, I guess. What do the kids say nowadays? This Sabersaurus was made the Aki way. This Sabersaurus is looking to phantom tax some babies. He's maulding. Okay, there we go. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name once per turn. 1, you can detach a material from this card, destroy a dino monster on your hand or face of field, and change the battle position of a monster on the field. Say the line, chat! And at the start of the damage step, if your other dinosaur monster battles, you can destroy this card. And if you do, the dinosaur monster gets 2,000 attack until the end of the battle phase. Why do they keep printing the same card for this deck? Like, surely at some point in the next 20 years, they're going to want dinosaurs to do something other than pop Baby Ceratosaurus and Petit Pteranodon. Right? Like, I don't know. I feel kind of bad for my dino brethren. You know? Like, if you play Cybers, for instance, you've watched Cyberses go from an obvious joke to Link spam U-Link to Salamangrade, kind of more mid-range style, to Towers Turbo in Marincess, to this like Banish pile that currently exists, all while still facilitating this like big ass Firewall Dragon deck that I wish is tinkering with. You know, you've got like 5 or 6 different play styles. If you're playing dinos, you're popping the baby. Like, what even is the other dinosaur thing you can do? Dinomorphia? Even that deck plays fucking Miscellaneousaurus. I don't know, man. I don't know. I really... The deck doesn't need another card that does this, is what I'm saying. The deck doesn't need another card that does this. The difference between Dino being good or bad isn't if it pops 8 or 9 babies. It's if it is inexorably wedded to a monster printed in 2016, the Soul-Eating Oviraptor, for which it feels no love any longer. It wakes up every morning, turns over, and sees the alien creature in bed next to it and thinks, what is my problem? Where did I go wrong? Why did I think this would be anything lasting? You know, maybe they're on Grindr on their phone whenever they're not on board. You know, maybe they're just trying to feel something. You know, they're talking to anyone they can about, you know, anyway. I think if you're really that angry, Sabersaurus, we can get the will of the council to give you a judgment on this one. Just cheat on Ovi. It's time for you to just cheat on Ovi. He's made you angry enough. Leave him. Do something else with your life other than pop the fucking baby for the 9th year in a row. Please. Oh my God. Lawyer up, hit the gym, you know, etc., etc. And I think there are interesting things you can do with dinos. I think the dinosaur cards do a lot of really cool stuff. And I think it's one of the last typings that facilitates like big ass end board pieces that come from the main deck. Like, isn't it cool that like every deck right now, it's like, what's my big guy? Detonator, you know, Duo Drive, Neo Tempest Terahertz, White Binder, Red Ransom. All that shit comes from the extra. But not since, like, fucking Cosmo has there been a deck where it's like, oh, all my cool shit comes from the main. Dino, that could be it. And instead, it's this. Instead, it's another 1,000 years of Pop L Baby. Ugh. Memento, what do you think? What do you think the 2 fusions are? Come on. I guess Combined Creation is a main deck monster. That's cool. Voiceless? Oh, you know what? I apologize. Voiceless is that deck. I just didn't think of it when I was thinking of those decks because it's blue. I'm sorry. They all just look the same to me. Flu? Okay, let's keep moving. New Retrains, PogChamp, new Retrains, PogChamp. Very excited for these ones. We have Jakuru Evil Knight Dragon, which is Serpent Knight Dragon. Important thing to know about Serpent Knight Dragon, it is neither a serpent nor a dragon, and it's been broken before. In Speed Duel, they gave Serpent Knight a skill that made it better than Dark Arm Dragon at a time when the metagame could not facilitate better than Dark Arm Dragon. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. You contribute a dark monster from your hand or field, special this card from your hand. When this card is destroyed by battle, you can target a monster your opponent controls, send it to the graveyard, then you can special summon this card. Okay, so people have already figured out what you can do with this card. First off, tributes from hand. That's, you know, maybe that's something. Second off, sends. That's neat. And third off, no once per turn on that second effect. So if your opponent has a lot of assholes, you can like walk in with Serpent Knight, send a guy on field, summon Serpent Knight, walk in with Serpent Knight, send a guy on field, etc., until the cows come home. They don't even have to have a lot of assholes with over 2350 because you can just keep sending guys that aren't the guy you're attacking. However, you know, is that good? Who's to say? It's hard to be like, this card's really good in a scenario where your opponent just lets you get to combat and attack a million times. It's like a Fenrir that's way worse than Fenrir in every way that matters. I would not be surprised to see this card show up occasionally, but I think the scenarios in which it shows up, that first effect will have to matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, that first effect is going to have to do something. So if there's a deck that wants this effect, they will probably play this card and occasionally, like Kashtira gets to, Fenrir you out. But I don't think that deck exists at present. It's one of those like preprints where it's like, oh, something could happen. A whole bunch of guys that are like, if this card is tributed, you win. This is a cube card. Goes Brazian cube, I will say. And Firewing Pegasus, the Crimson Heavenly Horse. Huh. If your opponent controls more monsters than you can special summon this card, and it can attack directly this turn. When your opponent activates a monster effect on field, you can inflict damage to them equal to this effect's chain link number times 300. If you do, this card cannot be destroyed by card effects activated before this effect in this chain. 1,000,000 years of Cyberdark Impact. How are they still printing support for the Cyberdark Impact Chain Combo Fighter deck? Wow. No, this one is not good. I spoke a little about the last one. I coped a bit. This one, no. Not good under any circumstances, folks. Next up. Heroes! 1 quadrillion years of heroes. New hero card in Allen. Evil hero, Vicious Claws. Okay. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. You can only use the second effect of this card's name once per duel. You can target a hero monster on the field, special summon this card from your hand in defense position. That monster gains 300. And if a monster you control is destroyed by a battle or card effect, you can special this from your graveyard, then destroy a card on the field if you have a monster in your graveyard that mentions Dark Fusion. Now, I know a lot of people hate this fucking card. I will admit it is just like a slightly better Bubble Man. Okay, I get that this card isn't fantastic. Okay. But I think it forecasts some really interesting stuff. This is a card, a generic extender for hero, that's pretty good and does not lock you. I think we've accomplished everything we can accomplish with Vision Hero, Ferris, and Vision. I think we all know what those cards are capable of, the end boards they can produce, the way in which they interact with the board state. I think it's time to be like, listen, if Hero wants to be playable in the year of our Lord 2025, it's going to have to be able to play generics, and this is an extender that permits you to use generics, which is pretty new. Rebecca, what does Rebecca have? Yeah, so this is what Jaden BR has been tinkering with. I don't know if this is from his channel. It is, yeah. He's just playing it in Fiendsmith. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and play fucking Elemental Hero Stratos in my, Fiendsmith deck. And you get to play like a Dusted Gold to find this guy. Because you're playing a Dusted Gold, you get to play the Evil Hero stuff. Now, is this good? Well, let's go to Jaden BR's YouTube. And you see, bad? Perhaps not. But it is a move towards a hero deck that isn't just adding 4 additional Garnets in to give you an occasional play around Nibiru that I do appreciate. Again, I don't think this card is super strong. I don't think the deck it facilitates is super good, but I think it forecasts a future for Hero that I am more excited about than what if Ferris got a low taper fade. Next up. Gordian Schneider. All right, we got to stop the Germans. What is a Gordian Schneider? Apparently it's a big fucking sword. Who cares? So Gordian Schneider is a normal spell card. It says this card's activation and effect cannot be negated. At the start of your main phase, target any number of face-up cards on the field, banish 1 card from your hand or 6 from your extra deck for every targeted card face down, then return the targeted cards to the hand. I don't know. So it's not hard to find the use cases for this card. You know, banish 6 from your extra deck is cool. You get to, you know, banish 12 plus a couple of cards from your hand for like a Giga Forbidden Droplet, right? What you do is you bounce a whole bunch of shit, and then you play with like a 3-card hand into 0 points of interaction. Maybe, you know, the cards you're banishing are like Garnets or not super relevant, or you know they're not going to resolve, etc. And you're not getting that shit back. There's no real way to plus off of it because the cards that you banish are sent face down, which is, you know, something. You are, of course, then going to try and do your turn with 3 cards in the extra deck, or more realistically, 9. I don't love it. I know a lot of people are looking at this and batting and being like, oh my god, it's got the super poly style, it can't be negated. Like, oh my goodness, you know, returning to the hand is such a good form of removal to go to a hidden information zone. You don't get any cool ass triggers. Oh my, like this might be it. I don't think just one more blind second tool, please, just one more blind second tool is going to be a difference maker. The obvious thing that this card is getting compared to is Forbidden Droplet, right? Like in a very similar vein, for each card you send from your side of the field, you get to impact a card on your opponent's side of the field. But that is a kind of comparison that really does not bode well for Gordian Schneider, right? Because Forbidden Droplet gets to not only use a bunch of the stuff that you use, if it's got like graveyard effects, you get to use it in the middle of a chain resolving, sending cards that are currently on field but will not be on field once the chain is done resolving. So you get to like cash in on freebies in that way. And importantly, it doesn't target. Additionally, at the start of your main phase is such a terrible, terrible sentence to see on here because a lot of these blind second tools, what you want to do is exhaust your opponent to the point where the blind second tool is going to be able to get everything. Like it's not going to get some things, and then you still have to deal with the remainder of the board with like a 2-card hand. You want to be able to interact with everything, and this doesn't do it. It targets, and while its effect can't be negated, I do want to point out it can be responded to. So, unlike something like Super Polymerization or a well-played copy of Forbidden Droplet, let's say you target a couple of monsters and your opponent goes, okay, well, I have other plans for those monsters anyway. You know, let's send them to the graveyard with my powerful cards. I mean, think about how this would work against Malice, right? You target like an on-field Red Ransom or White Binder and they go, okay, well, you know I said GWC06, so, you know, I will just go ahead and summon a card out. I'll banish a card. I'll activate MTP07 to get the card that you targeted off the field. There's just so many ways you can interact with this card that you can't against the better going second cards. Additionally, you really can't play this going first. A significant amount of the really good going second cards right now, Talents, Thrust, Droplet, have applications on the play. You know, there's stuff you can do with these cards going first, especially cards like Droplet. This card does dick fuck nothing going first, and in that way is another card like Lightning Storm that it's like, yeah, it cleans up a board state, but, you know, only in games 2 and 3 and only in very specific situations. The card reads crazy. I'll be honest. The card reads absolutely nuts. I think it is way, as Rebecca said, way worse than it reads. But I do want to get out ahead of being wrong about this. I also think there are scenarios in which it's playable. You know, a lot of the things that I just said also apply to Ultimate Slayer, to Lightning Storm. And God knows we go through double digits of formats in which those cards are terrible. But under the right conditions and the right format, this could be like the going second tool that people play. You know what I mean? it could compete for that slot with those cards, or if the format is go firsty enough, it could be played alongside them. When has Ultimate Slayer been good? Now? So again, I am bullish on Gordian Schneider, but less excited for it than I think people whose job is to make a YouTube thumbnail where they go, whoa, and put Gordian Schneider over there. In fact, that should be the YouTube thumbnail for this one. Whoa, and I'm looking at Gordian Schneider. All right, next up. Zombies. Man, they just give zombies anything, huh? They go, you know what? Zombies are allowed to have any card in the world. We want this fucking deck to be playable, and it just ain't. All right, what are they? Curse of the Ancient Turtle. Normal spell. Banish a zombie from your hand or graveyard. Send a zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard. When your zombie monster is destroyed by battle, do Pyramid Turtle. I love zombies, man. Give them fucking another Foolish Burial. It doesn't matter. That's an... They're like in Konami headquarters, like, how do we make zombies playable? Another Foolish Burial? I don't know, put another Foolish Burial? Oh my god. No, not good. No. Oh my god. Pyramid has been activated, and Dark Necromancer. Wait, what? We don't have a card called Dark Necromancer? Are you fucking with me? Yu-Gi-Oh's been around, what, 1,000 years? We don't have a card called Dark Necromancer? If this card is normal or special summoned, you can send a fiend or zombie ritual from your hand or deck to the graveyard. Then you can add a ritual spell from your deck to your hand. If this card is banished, you can target one of your banished level 4 or lower fiend or zombie monsters, special summon it once per turn. All right. It's Vendread support. Folks, this is one of those things where they're like, okay, we've made a card. It is not named this, but it is Vendread support. And I will be completely honest with you. This is an insane card for Vendread. You all know where I stand on Vendread. Vendread is one of those archetypes that there are some people who've just iterated on it for like 100,000 years in the hyperbolic time chamber. And at this point, you could do cold fusion with, you know, a Unizombie and a copy of Slayer. This is a great card for that deck, and will get me interested in Vendread once again. Will it make Vendread meta? No. But it will make the Vendread deck that currently exists able to go 3-1 at locals instead of 2-2. Can I play Fiendsmith Vendread? Whoosh, you'll get back in the Gladiator Beast Mines and you'll like it, Rebecca. There's no fucking way I'm letting you play the fun deck. Oh my god. Anyway, that's all the new cards that are fit to print.